Welcome to Sharing Socks, 1 week before St. Patrick's Day edition. I am Southside Sox duty geezer Leigh Allan, along with my son and West Coast correspondent Will, chatting a little bit about things White Soxery. Typically, one should be barred really from being at all down on baseball things before St. Patrick's Day. But when one's team is 1-6-3, you wonder if really it is World Series or bust, or maybe that's a little high expectation.
Well, all I'm going to say about that is, one, we're still before St. Patrick's Day, so I don't know why you're caring to begin with. Two, none of this means anything ever. It never means anything.
There's no question. There's no question it is all meaningless, but there are things within that are odd and interesting. One to me.
Sure, there are things. There are definitely things people can be working on that are interesting and do matter. However, winning games when you don't even have to finish an inning if you don't feel like it, forget it. Come on. I would have won every single game of my life if I got to call when the game ended. Sometimes I would have just had a no decision, as it would have been 0-0. I knew when I was going to get whooped. Yeah, ridiculous. I don't care. I don't care if we go 0-25 in all of spring training or whatever it is. I don't care. I still expect us to win the World Series.
Should score some runs now and again, though, just to make a point.
We're good at that. That's like our thing. Scoring runs is our thing.
The pitchers who are going to be on the major league team, at least at the start, barring injury and all that, have done fine. For the most part, and really overwhelmingly. Giolito's been terrific. Lopez looked good for 2 innings.
Lance Lynn
was kind of mysterious.
Well, throwing 4 walks in 2 innings of spring training is a little weird, but it's less weird in spring training because we don't know what he was trying to place where, exactly what he was trying to throw necessarily. I mean, we have a general idea. So I can't give him credit for 4 walks, but one of those I'll chalk up to he was trying something new.
3 in a row, and he only got out of it because he was at the bottom of the order and had a bunch of minor leaguers to get him a strikeout and a double play. Yeah. But the interesting when he eventually went out of the game, he went screaming, and it looked like he was screaming at the ump. Now he said later on, I wasn't. I was just yelling to my catcher about how we got out of it. But Tony La Russa came out to get between him and the ump, which doesn't seem necessary if you're yelling congratulations to your catcher. So I think Lynn lost it a little bit there.
Well, okay, to be fair, the ump did yell, free beer, over here. And that's when La Russa ran out. I think it was totally unrelated to Lynn yelling at the umpire.
And plus, Lynn had were you watching those innings?
I didn't see those innings, no.
Okay, I did. And that umpire had a strike zone the size of Brazil, and Lynn was still missing it. And he was missing it by feet. So to come off and be all up, I think he was just upset himself. Something was obviously wrong. He was coming off the mound wrong. It just looked wrong. It looked bad when he was pitching. I'm sure he recovers, and it was a temporary thing, but
sure,
it was a weird sequence of events. Meanwhile, Michael Kopech on Tuesday, Garrett Crochet.
Yeah, Crochet throwing some real nasty stuff.
And Kopech had a clean inning with strikeout, marched right on through there. We have not seen of the relievers, though they have pitched, I think, one of these beer cake games in the morning that they set up.
Sure, yeah.
I think he and Bummer have each pitched an inning there. Foster we haven't seen. The starters that we haven't seen confuse me. The one that confuses me the most is Dallas Keuchel. They had said on Friday that Keuchel would pitch Monday. he didn't. And it's almost, and instead of some other starter coming out, they threw this poor Mike Wright up against the Dodgers. Mike Wright should never have to pitch against the Los Angeles Dodgers. It was just batting practice. But they didn't say anything. There's been no comment of, he's got a blister, or the only thing they can't comment on if it's health is COVID, but he's been in camp. He threw a side. So that's not what's doing it.
I'm going to add another thing into this mystery. I think he got engaged yesterday.
He did get engaged to a sportscaster lady.
Yeah. So what's going on there? He's okay enough to get engaged, but he can't throw a spring training game on Monday. I don't know.
I think that's pretty suspicious. All right.
Dallas Q Cole, maybe. It's possible. It's possible. No, I don't know what's going on with that. I'm actually kind of confused. I'm not as confused about Keuchel not starting to throw yet as I am about the other guys you're about to mention.
Well, which brings us to another La Russa comment. Tony said on Tuesday that he's not worried about Keuchel because Keuchel will get in 3 or 4 starts before the season. And with all his experience, that's plenty. Well, I think it'll only be 3 when you look at it now because he hasn't started yet, and we're 20 days away.
But I get that. I buy that. Yeah.
For a Dallas Keuchel, plus he's not a guy who depends on building up his velocity.
Exactly. I mean, he's just he really needs a tune-up, and then he can go.
But if it's true that Dallas Keuchel only needs 3 or 4 starts to be ready for the season because of his experience, then why don't we see more from Dylan Cease and Carlos Rodon?
Because it's a Cy Young thing. So
Okay.
like Keuchel, former Cy Young winner, Dylan Cease, future Cy Young winner, maybe this year. So that's why those two haven't pitched, because it's like a Cy Young thing. Rodon, I don't know.
I thought it might be because Ethan Katz is getting those two, Rodon and Cease, to change their deliveries quite a bit. And it may be that he doesn't want them out there against a situation with fans in the stands and an actual major league team that they're pitching against, even if it's half major and half minor leaguers, until he sees that they can not only do what he wants, but to do it with repetition.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of validity to that thought, especially with Rodon and Cease, of course, Keuchel being a different scenario. But, we've seen clips that show that Cease has altered his delivery quite a bit in the same vein as Lucas Giolito did when Katz worked with him. I don't think I've seen as much of Rodon in practice, and I haven't really been able to see how much of a change we're getting in his delivery. But I do think with Cease, it is likely a scenario of he's just not ready yet. But they are seeing improvements, so they want to make sure that he is ready when he gets out there.
Sensible. Does that mean then that the fact that Reynaldo Lopez has already had a start, and he also was having a lot of change theoretically being done by Katz, that he caught on faster than Cease and Rodon?
I mean, it's total speculation, but...
Oh, yeah, total.
But I will also say, as much as we like to hate on Reynaldo Lopez, we have seen him pitch unbelievably. Like in 2019, there were games that Lopez pitched where you're just like, wait, what? Because he has an incredible skill set. He has incredible raw talent. And if he is catching on a little quicker, I think we could see Lopez, starting game 4 of the season. And I'm interested to see what that would be, because I do actually think Reynaldo Lopez, I won't say that he, possesses a a better skill set than Cease or Rodon. Rodon, when healthy, I think is the best of the three. But he's got some natural ability that we've only seen minor glimpses of. And he had a decent spring training outing so far, and I think maybe he did just catch on, and he just was ready to go a little sooner than the other guys.
Okay, before we get to the hitters and the situation with some of them, and my favorite topic, the backup catchers, this is an announcing and procedural question. When the White Sox second baseman was drafted out of college,
mm-hmm.
the word was that his last name is pronounced Madrigal, accent on the last syllable.
Okay.
Not like the ancient English music madrigal. But the Madrigal kind of disappeared when he made it up to the majors. And all last year, I never heard anybody say Madrigal. Everybody said Madrigal.
Oh, no. Did you hear like the first couple games? They were calling him Madrigal.
Well, but as the season went anyway, it was all Madrigal.
Yeah, after that it was. But first few games, I was like,
it wasn't just Stoney and Jason. It was
everybody.
Or Ozzie and Frank after the game, whatever. Everybody's saying Madrigal. And in ESPN, they say Madrigal. Now, on the 2 games this week that were on YouTube, and I think Rich King did both of them. Chuck Garfien was on one, and I don't know. Well, the one that Madrigal was in was Monday, and that was Rich King, Chuck Garfien. They said Madrigal.
Madrigal.
So are we going back to Madrigal, or are they just being hoity-toity and we should be still saying Madrigal? I don't know. And since we have to talk, not just write, easy when you're writing, but since we also have to talk, and I've got 50 years of broadcast experience that I'd hate to see go to waste mispronouncing some guy's name. I don't know. I don't know what we really should say.
I think our best option is to go with Madrigal and just lay into that and see if it catches on. Because I have no idea how he actually pronounces it. And all the various pronunciations have made me really confused about what his lineage might be.
It's not Hispanic, though.
Which is interesting because people will give it, some announcers early on, we're giving it a very Spanish pronunciation.
But his first name isn't, if it was Hispanic, his first name would be Nicolas. His first name is Nicholas, like Jack Nicklaus. So that's more Germanic.
Yeah.
So I am at a loss. I mean, the guys behind you, Vaughn, Jimenez, I got it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I actually have no idea. And I think this would be a great time for Nick to come on the podcast.
And explain it to us.
And explain it once and for all. I think we can guess all we want, but really only one guy can come on here and tell us what's going on.
American announcers and Americans in general are used to butchering Hispanic names. And some we do, just across the board forever. Rodriguez is the real word, not Rodriguez. So it actually should be the world famous A-Road. But and then the other ones like F-Road and the other guys that came after him. And then we sometimes take the soft A and harden it. But that's a linguistic thing. His isn't linguistic. It's just, what's the guy's name?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't. Very early on, I had a couple friends who referred to our center fielder as Luis Robert.
Which incidentally made sense.
Yes, but I believe he does not pronounce it that way.
He does not. No.
So I don't know what's going on with Nick. We gotta get him in here to explain it. But let's take a quick break. We will come back and talk about spring training hitters, of which there haven't been any. So it'll be a short segment, but we'll be right back. All right, we're back to sharing socks. Geezer, let's talk about hitting.
Well, first, a couple of guys get a break, I think, in this. One, of course, is Nick, either Madrigal or Madrigal, as the case may be, because he only came off his injury waiting period on Monday, so he's only 0 for 2. I think we can let that one go. Although his second ground up was kind of interesting because I think the pitch was behind him. He still managed to ground it to the left side. The other one is Jose Abreu because he got a very late start,
right?
At all, and because of the COVID situation. The others, some are hitting quite well. Vaughn is doing nicely. Robert is doing very well. Both the Adames are hitting fine. Tim is struggling
big time. Yeah,
Yuan is okay, not great, but okay, and he certainly looks better on the base paths and everything they did last year. So I don't think there's anything wrong there. Eloy, right behind you there, not hitting.
No, Eloy, Danny Mendick, nothing. Tim too. Tim's hitting for less average than Eloy.
Yeah.
And neither of them.
His very first time up. Remember, his very first at bat it was on TV, and he went the opposite way. But boy, that's Tim Anderson. He's there, and it hasn't been there since.
Yeah, it's really strange. I don't know what the answer to that is. I just, it's been a weird year. Tim has proven to us that he hits major league pitching. So
it's not a real big,
not a major concern. My bigger concerns would be the fact that they have 3 walks between them in spring training. That's a really, really small number.
The team in general, and this is, I think, in large part because you're facing a lot of minor league pitching, and this is going to change. The team in general has not struck out a lot and has walked much more than usual.
Well, that's being led by, weirdly, Andrew Vaughn. He's got 5 walks, and Leori, who's got 5 walks. Leori, who is also hitting.
Leori, incidentally, is hitting a ton, as he always does in the spring. He's one of the great spring hitters in baseball.
Vaughn and Leori both have home runs at this point, too, and actually hitting well, much to your chagrin, I'm sure, is Zack Collins. We haven't seen much of him. I think
and
10
Lucroy
at-bats.
And Mercedes.
Yeah. Now we've seen very little of Lucroy. We've seen very little of Lucroy. But yeah, Mercedes is he's got 6 RBIs already on a team that hasn't won a game. So he's
won one game.
One game. Team that's won 1 game. So yeah, he's a huge surprise. And so our backup catchers are, it looks like here they hold 4 of the top 7 batting averages in spring training so far.
They've all been hitting well. And I will say, we kind of badmouth Jonathan Lucroy's first game. And because he threw terrible.
Well, his defense, I mean, he hit really well in his first game.
Defense was awful. Since then, it's been fine. That just was apparently a settling in. Interesting thing on defense now, because I was reading that Zack Collins is talking about how he feels much more comfortable now. He's gone to the one knee instead of the crouch. So I looked at, I said, well, why haven't people done this before? And I started reading up on it just this morning. The one knee, first of all, it's more often done by old guys whose knees are shot by 26-year-olds. But the other thing about it, that one knee is supposed to be very beneficial for framing low pitches. Makes sense. You can get down much lower. Some guys who do the one knee stretch the other leg, be the right leg, the left knee and the right leg stretch way out to the side if they're getting down. So they can get really low.
Yeah.
Nice for a target and nice for framing once that target is either hit or miss. It is not good for throwing people out because you're slower getting up.
All right.
And it is not good for blocking pitches. So it's pretty much immaterial if nobody's on base. So that's a good time to go to your one knee.
Well, and a lot of times you don't see guys, that is when you see it in the bigs, is you see it when nobody's on base.
And certainly a Zack Collins cannot afford to be any worse than he already is at throwing out runners.
Yeah.
I think he's 1 for 11 lifetime, or at blocking pitches. So he says he feels a lot more comfortable and better, and he seems to be doing okay that way, but I don't know that can last.
Right. I mean, it's fine that he says he's comfortable and doing better, but ultimately we need to see him block big league pitches and big league games. And you can't afford to have him be worse at throwing out runners. So I don't really care how he feels. If he can't throw out runners, we can't have him behind the plate.
Meanwhile, occasionally, I mean, they only throw out, I think 27% is the
but
major
still,
league
that's a very different gamble. That's a very different gamble.
Yeah. But whereas, so what La Russa has said, which makes absolute sense, is that the backup catcher will be the guy who can best handle pitchers. And I don't think there's any question that as long as he's as close to being healthy as he can be, that's LaCroix.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a guy, a former All-Star, I think probably Golden Glove catcher.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure about that, but if not, very close
so.
to it.
Yeah.
So he's got all the experience and all, and that leaves Collins and Mercedes sitting out there doing what? I don't know.
Going
to Schaumburg, going to Charlotte. If you look at, they're going to be 13 position players, right? So the outfield, you got the two Adams and Robert and Jimenez. 4. That's 4. In the infield, you've got the 4 starters around there, plus Leary, that's 5, plus presumably Vaughn, if not immediately within a few weeks, but I think they're going to have to make it immediately. So that's 10. So now you've got 2 catchers who I think we can. And Grandal, incidentally, why the hell isn't he played yet? They say
I don't know.
Because when he was first out, they were saying, "Oh, it'll be a day or two. We're taking every precaution. Extra thing. What do we care? It's just early spring." And yet now it's been about 2 weeks since they said that. And he hasn't shown up to pinch hit in a real game.
Yeah, that's a little more concerning for me, is the fact that we haven't seen him bat. The fact that we haven't seen him catch could be because we need him to be catching more than he's comfortable catching this season, most likely.
We do. We absolutely do. But it worries you if this little minor tweaky thing, not even worth getting an MRI on or anything like that, sets him out this long. Boy, we can't have anything happen during the season. There just better not be anything bad happen during the season. Anyhow, back that's 12 guys anyway that we've outlined there. There's one other place left. Could be a left-handed hitter. I think it has to be a left-handed hitter. So you have a left-handed pinch hitter if need be at some point.
Well, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Laurie.
But no, I'm already counting Leary in. I'm talking the 4 starters around the infield plus Leary plus Vaughn.
Oh,
that's 6,
okay.
4 outfielders plus 2 catchers. That's 12.
Okay, gotcha.
1 slot open, which could be a Mendick. Mendick's a right-handed hitter. The best hitters of everybody else is Mercedes, but he's a right-handed hitter. Collins is a left-handed hitter. They haven't really indicated that they want him for a backup catcher at all.
Yeah.
Good reason. And he can't be, for example, platoon with Vaughn. It makes absolutely no sense for him because the left-handed hitter gets the majority of the at-bats.
Right.
That makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious as what they're going to end up being for that. There's that 1 slot open, and where will it go?
Who would you keep?
That is.
What would you do? What would you do?
The way he's hitting right now, I would give a lot more spring at bats until he plays himself out of it to Nick Williams.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, look, he's hitting 600. He's only got 5 at bats, but
yeah, but I'd want to see a lot of him again now that you're going to be facing from here on out mainly major league pitchers, or at least borderline major league pitchers.
Yeah,
I'd like to see him get another 20 or more at bats to see if he holds up. If he holds up, that's a lefty hitter, apparently a decent defender. Who knows?
I mean,
I don't have another choice.
I think that's the sort of dream scenario. One that we didn't see coming at all. I didn't think Nick Williams was even going to be a name we really talked about this year. But I absolutely think that if they can get him those at bats and he continues to produce, that is going to be the greatest surprise we've gotten this season.
Surprise.
Oh, big
positive
time,
surprise.
Big time,
yeah.
Positive surprise. I mean,
it's not expected at all.
It would be huge for us to have a backup outfielder who's left-handed, and to have that bat in the lineup. But we need to see a lot more of them.
Oh yeah.
I think you send Collins to Charlotte. I think he still needs to be playing minor league ball if he's going to make it and be a full-time backstop in the show. He's got to go down and work on things. So I would be very, very pleased if Williams showed us enough to earn that spot, because that is the absolute ideal scenario with what to do with that last spot.
Do you have an alternative?
Not right now. I mean, I like Danny Mendick, but it doesn't make any sense. There's not a great choice right now. I mean, the great choice right now is I choose that Nick Williams turns out to be better than we all thought would be the choice. So no, I don't even know what to do. I know I wouldn't want it to be Collins, so he's still not quite there.
All right, I'm done.
Yeah, I think that's all we have for this week. Maybe next week we will have 2 wins, and we will be able to dissect that for you. I guess we should say we do know for sure now the White Sox are going to have fans for opening day.
Yes, yeah.
Only 20% capacity, which I'm sure Cubs fans immediately joked is 1,000 people for the White Sox. But I believe it's out of total possible capacity.
Unfortunately, for those of us who buy our tickets one at a time, the priority, and it makes perfect sense, is going to season ticket holders. So I think the only avails are going to be the secondary market.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to get tickets without getting a ticket package for all the teams this year. But yeah, I'm looking at the same thing here in Anaheim to try to see the Sox for the opening series, and tickets aren't on sale yet. They will have fans, but we're still not sure. And you kind of have to assume the tickets are going to be 4 times the price if you're only taking 25% of the people. So on the secondhand market, it's going to be very expensive to go early on, especially because people are going to be pretty excited to get back out
there. Yeah, they're going to be very gung-ho.
Especially without crazy crowds. I mean, for me, I love the idea of going back to a baseball stadium that's only 25% full. It sounds amazing, and having 4 seats to myself. I love it. I wouldn't want it for the World Series, but I love it till then. So that's all the time we have for today. And any final thoughts?
Nah.
Classic geezer. Nothing for me either. It is warmer in the Midwest than it is on the West Coast today. So enjoy that, and we will kick your butt at weather again soon. We'll see you next time.